It was another. It was another wild. It was another wild night around the NBA on Friday. We had the Pistons getting upset by the Utah Jazz. The Boston Celtics win their fourth in a row, and the Chicago Bulls are now surprisingly surging. We're talking about it all on tonight's Locked On NBA Game Night.
When that final buzzer rings, you know it's time for Locked On NBA Game Night. All the post-game reactions to every game across the league, every single night, with insights only the hosts at Locked On can provide. It's the true NBA fans' one stop for all the action. Every game, every night. It's Locked On NBA Game Night. Tipping off now.
What's going on? Welcome to another episode of Locked On NBA Game Night, where it's every game, every night. My name is Haize. I'm one of the hosts of Locked On Bulls, and I'll be your host tonight, guiding you guys through NBA Friday nights. Today's episode is brought to you guys by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code Locked On NBA for $20 off your first purchase. With that said, let's go ahead and get into it. We're going to start off with the Boston Celtics, who won against the Pacers 140-122. And before I start, we're going to get the word from John Corrales, host of Locked On Celtics.
A little bit of oh no, not again to start this game for the Celtics, as the Pacers started out blistering hot from three, but they didn't wait till halftime to go cold this time. They went cold in the second quarter. I'm John Corrales of the Locked On Celtics podcast. Celtics ran away with that game in the second quarter, 47-22. They got a big game from Payton Pritchard, big night from Jaylen Brown. In the second quarter, it was all mid-range shots, and the Celtics have just been mid-range masters between Jaylen and Pritchard. They are just money from that non-restricted paint area, the long twos. It's typically an inefficient shot, but the Celtics are hitting them at a high clip, and they use that to bury the Pacers. Then Sam Hauser got hot from three. The Celtics shot better than 50% and made 23-pointers. That was almost all Sam Hauser. Jaylen Brown hit a couple at the end. Simons got a couple in there. Derek White got a few in there. But it was Hauser in the third that broke this thing open. Celtics get their eighth win against the team below 500. The rest of this road trip is against teams below 500. So there's a chance the Celtics can go on a run here. I'll have much more on the Locked On Celtics podcast.
Well, John Corrales there focused on the mid-range. The Celtics were 20 of 39 from beyond the three-point arc in this game as well. You had Jaylen Brown scoring 30 points. He's averaging 29 points as well on the season. Payton Pritchard with 29 points as well. Like, this was a game where the Celtics just came out and won. And I think when you look at this, both these teams who lost their stars due to Achilles injuries, their two seasons have gone completely different ways. You have the Boston Celtics, who are one of the best teams in the Eastern Conference, and many people are talking about them having a legitimate chance here to come out the East and seeing what they're going to do here, at the trade deadline and maybe solidify those chances a little bit stronger. And then you have the Indiana Pacers, who are 6-25 on the season, and Nembhard had himself a solid game with 18 points on 4 3-pointers as well, but these two teams are just in very different places in the season after losing their stars. And the Celtics, man, just been so solid. And I know the East is extremely tight. Things can change in the East day in and day out. But the Celtics have been giving some really good performance and production. And you just love to see that from this team that just, despite Jayson Tatum being out, they keep competing. They're staying, ahead of the curve in the Eastern Conference. And that's exactly where you want to be. If Jayson Tatum really does return this season for the Boston Celtics and they make a deadline move with Anthony Simons or whatever else to get a big in there and to get some depth there, this team can still win the East. And who would have thought that? After Jayson Tatum went down last year, we knew he was going to miss the majority of this season. Who would have thought that the Celtics could have still been here? I was somebody who thought they were going to still be a playoff team. Not to toot my own horn, I did think they would still have the capability of being a playoff team. And they're showing that through coaching, just having the depth that they still have, and they still execute basketball the right way. As long as you do those things in this league, you can win basketball games. And that's what the Boston Celtics are showing day in and day out here. And they just don't give up. So love to see that here from the Boston Celtics. We'll see how long they can keep winning. And, the question that a lot of people are asking themselves now, what are the Celtics going to do at the trade deadline? And I think that's going to tell and inform a lot on how confident they feel, not only in Tatum's return, but how confident they feel really in their ability to make a real move in this Eastern Conference this year. And it just goes to show you how well-constructed teams, well-coached teams in the East, You can't count those guys out. And so as long as that continues, the Celtics are going to continue to have a chance. But from them to another team that is trying to prove that they have a chance, that's the Miami Heat. The Heat get a win here over the Hawks, 126-111. This was a needed win for the Heat. They're 2-8 in their last 10. And after being solid at points of the season, we talked about their offensive pace, talked about Bam. It's been a little bit of a rough go for them at times. And we're going to get to the host of Locked On Heat, and that's Wes Goldberg.
Miami Heat back in the win column with probably their best offensive performance since the start of December. I'm Wes Goldberg from Locked On Heat. The Miami Heat were in the middle of a 3-game losing streak. They had lost 9 of their last 10 games going into this game against the Atlanta Hawks, and they needed this one. They needed this win in a really bad way. And look, we have been wondering when that offense, that high-tempo, play-in-space offense was going to come back, when Miami's defense was going to hold strong again, and the Heat got the get-right game tonight in Atlanta. They put up the most points that they've put up, 126 points. It's the most points that they've put up since December 1st. The offense looked crisp. They were playing in space. They were getting out in transition off of turnovers. The wheel was back. Guys were playing off of each other. The ball movement was good. The body movement was good. It's the kind of win that you hope, if you're the Miami Heat, can spur on a little bit of a run here and maybe a string of wins. The Heat desperately needed to look like the team that they looked like to start the season when they were so impressive, and they looked like that tonight.
The Miami Heat has been a real interesting season for them because, of course, the pace of the offense, the defense has kind of come and gone at times for the Miami Heat, and they just haven't been as consistent as what you would hope that team to be. Now, we know that Tyler Hero has missed some time. Norman Powell, getting him and Tyler Hero on the same page was always going to be something that, was going to take some time in the learning curve there. But, as Wes said, maybe they can use this to propel them to start getting some wins where they need it at the most. And it to kind of, it's too early to say save your season, right? We're not even halfway through the season for most of these teams, but an opportunity to just continue to make moves in the right direction for your team. But we got to talk about the Hawks in this one too. The Hawks have lost now 5 in a row. When you look at the games that they lost to the Chicago Bulls and other teams as well, this is a team right now. They're the only team in the NBA with a winning record on the road, but a losing record at home is the Atlanta Hawks. This is like, we just don't know. And I think with the Hawks, the big thing is that they are just a better team without Trae Young. I don't know how much of a hot take that is or not. They are a better team when Trae Young is not on there. So far, Trae Young does not play well with Jalen Johnson when they're both on the court. The player that Jalen Johnson has become, where so much of the offense will go through him, where he's averaging, 8 assists, and he can be a hub for you offensively, both passing and scoring-wise. Trae Young is having some difficulty with that. And there are just times where Trae Young can break the offense, and that just leaves you in a question. And you really do see why, coming into the season, the Hawks were hesitant to give Trae Young an extension. They wanted to see what Trae Young looked like with this. And while he's putting up big numbers, 30 points tonight on 8 of 16 shooting, and I'll give him credit, he's actually shooting the ball better than I expected as well, but they're just not having, if you look at the minutes with Trae and Jalen Johnson on the court, they are losing those minutes in a lot of games. And this is with them sometimes both putting up big points. You had 24 from Jalen Johnson today, 30 from Trae Young today. But this is why it's not just about putting good players together or players that can put stats on paper together. It's about how things fit and the flow and the synergy of things. And that's where the Atlanta Hawks are really missing some stuff with Trae Young now back into the rotation. And yeah, we'll see. Dyson Daniels returned today. He had 8 points, 6 rebounds as well. But this is still a team that is just missing something. When you have a player like Wiggins, who's actually put in one of his better performances today, yeah, man, it's tough. It's tough. Tyler Hero missed his 8th straight game with a toe injury, for the Heat. But the Hawks are a big question mark here because they have a deadline move that they need to decide, or they could very well push that into the offseason. But there is a Trae Young size, which some people would say they may not be too big of a problem, but there's a Trae Young size problem here with the Atlanta Hawks. And not to say that it's just on him. That may be a little unfair to word it that way. But either way, there is a problem with this Hawks roster, and they're going to have to figure it out. Until they do, I think you're going to see a lot of losses stack up for them because the flow is just not there offensively. And that's what they had when Trae Young was out there. They need to find a way to either rediscover that with Trae or start making some decisions when it comes to their roster. And I don't know what they're going to do. I just don't know what they're going to do. I do think teams will be interested in Trae if he were to become available. The question just is what exactly are they looking back, or is just that? And this is a team in the Hawks that over the last 3 seasons, they've had a winning record when Trae's not on the court. And so typically that leads franchises to have to make tough decisions. And we'll see what that tough decision that this team makes going forward. But next up, we're going to continue talking about NBA Friday night games with the Jazz getting a big win over the Pistons. All right, I got to talk to you guys about one of our sponsors, and that is Robinhood. What if sports were traded like markets? Now you can put your sports IQ to work in real time with Robinhood prediction markets. It's not you against the house, it's you participating in a live market. You can buy or sell positions live all game long. Use your sports knowledge in the moments that matter. Robinhood prediction markets changes the game. It's people moving the action, so when the momentum shifts, you can move with it. I always knew the game, but never had a dynamic way to apply that knowledge. Now I can actually take part live in a market powered by people. You're no longer just a spectator. Play by play, you decide. Trade every play with Robinhood. Now available across the U.S. Download the Robinhood app now to begin. Futures and cleared swaps trading involves significant risk and is not appropriate for everyone. Event contracts are offered by Robinhood Derivatives, LLC, a registered futures commission, merchant, and swap firm. I also got to talk to you guys about another one of our sponsors, and that is DoorDash. This season is heating up, and DoorDash has a way to keep their fans in the bag the whole way through. Whether you're watching the highlights, the tunnel fits, or just your favorite player, DoorDash makes the entire season more fun because every player has their bag. With DoorDash, fans have one too. DoorDash keeps your snacks stocked, your gear fresh, and your watch party vibes absolutely on point. There are nights when your team stresses you out. Let DoorDash become your post-game therapy. Sometimes you just need a dessert now. Those late night interviews hit, and suddenly you need chips at midnight. DoorDash is built exactly for that. If the group chat says pull up, DoorDash makes sure you show up prepared, snacks, cup, and even a phone charger for that friend who's always at 2%. From tip-off to overtime, stay in your bag with DoorDash. Get snacks, drinks, whatever whatever gets you through the season, delivered right to your door. DoorDash, in your bag all season long. Or Locked On Game Night coming up next. And what is an NBA Friday night without an upset, right? Without an upset, the Jazz are a team that it's always hard to really know what the Utah Jazz's goals are each and every year. Like they have a pick that's top 8 protected this year. So everybody clearly knows the Jazz aren't going to be trying to win a lot of games this season. Well, they won the game tonight, 131-129 over the Detroit Pistons. And we have David Locke, the host of Locked On Jazz, here.
The Detroit Pistons came to Salt Lake City as the number 1 team in the Eastern Conference, 24-6 on the year. The Jazz came in having lost 4 in a row, but the Jazz get the win 131-129. And not only that, but the Jazz beat the Pistons at what they do best. The Pistons have been amazing in clutch games this year, having won 15 in 20 attempts with the most wins of any team in the NBA in the clutch. But tonight it was Keonte George with a monster steal from Karis LeVert, take it the other way from a dunk, and then with 2 seconds left, Keonte George hit the right-hand floater to give the Jazz the 131-129 win. Keonte George going blow for blow with Cade Cunningham late and giving the Jazz the win. Keonte finished with 31 points, 7 rebounds, and 8 assists tonight. Cunningham was fabulous, 29 points, 5 rebounds, and 17 assists for the Pistons. But the Jazz knock off the number 1 team in the Eastern Conference at what they do best, late game execution. The Jazz continue to be one of the 5 best teams in the NBA late game this year as the young players continue to develop. Bryce Sensabaugh had 20 and Lauri Markkanen had 30 for the Jazz in a big home win.
I think this highlights just like how any team on any given night in the NBA can win. I mean, we all know that. We've been there. That's been the story of the NBA for the longest, right? Any team, any given night. And that's what the Jazz have proved. And to David's point there, the Jazz are really good late in games and in close games. They just aren't winning a lot of those right now. They're 11-19 on the season, but this win came against a Detroit Pistons team that is the best team in the Eastern Conference. And, you know, I've gone back and forth on how I view the Pistons and being a legit contender. Cade being on that team, Ashur Thompson, everything he's able to do for that team, Jalen Duren having the season that he's having. In the East, we know that if you get hot at the right time, you can win the Eastern Conference. But the same thing in the East could be said that in the East, you know, yeah, you can have the best record in the East, but you can get upset by a team in the playoffs in the Eastern Conference. And that's been proven year in and year out. And the Pistons have to be careful with this. And these opportunities to learn in the late game execution are perfect for a team that is still a very young team that's ahead of the schedule as far as winning, and is amazing on the way they've been winning this season. You get 29 points from Cade Cunningham in this one. Tobias Harris with 16, Duncan Robinson with 14. You have several players giving you double digits off the bench, but the 31 points from Keonte George, 30 points from Lauri Markkanen. And, those things just stand out about this team. Ace Bailey goes down in this game with a hip injury. He does not play in the second half of this game, and that's unfortunate. But, overall, this is how the NBA goes. And, you just never know who's going to win. So when you have Sense of Ball getting 20 points off the bench and you just have players that are giving you big game execution late in game, that's how the Jazz won this game. So, I don't want to overthink this one. It isn't, the Detroit Pistons are a really good late team. It's a win in December for the Utah Jazz. That's great, right? But the Pistons, because their aim is a little bit higher, they can take from this one, they can learn from it, go back to the drawing board, and we'll see what happens next. But what we got next is the Philadelphia 76ers loss to the Chicago Bulls. The Bulls get a big late rally in this one, but we're going to go to the host of Locked On 76ers.
76ers lost the game that they had no business losing. They lost to the Chicago Bulls 109-102. Joel Embiid had 31 points for a game high, but he struggled mightily on the defensive end. Now, Nick Nurse, kind of said that he felt like Joel played well defensively, but it just seemed like the knee injuries is catching up to him with the lateral movement and not being able to catch up to people in space. It seemed like they were attacking him after a while. Tyrese Maxey had 27 points, but it was also weird for him. Like, he struggled in the first quarter. He played extremely well in the third and the fourth, and then he struggled again in the fourth quarter. Paul George ended up with 15 points, 12 rebounds. He had 5 assists, and he started off slow. But then he started cooking in the third quarter. Fourth quarter comes, he doesn't get the ball.
This was a game of runs. Both the Chicago Bulls and the Philadelphia 76ers each had 11-point leads at times in these games, right? Like that happened in this game. Each team had an 11-point lead, and you felt it as it went on. And to this point is that, Jalen Smith got a highlight dunk on Joel Embiid, and it was almost like at that point the Chicago Bulls recognized, oh, Joel isn't the same Joel anymore. And you had Kobe White attacking him in the mid-range and then go a step-back three. You had, Josh Giddey and get switched on Josh Giddey. Josh Giddey went to the floater on him, right? And so, it was that momentum play that really changed this game. But the Bulls in the fourth quarter in this game, with 4 minutes and 26 seconds left, the Philadelphia 76ers were up 100 to 96. The Bulls then go on a 13-2 run for the remaining part of that game. And they end up winning this game 109-102. And this was a game where the Bulls bench outscored the starters. 59 of the Bulls' points came from the bench, and the starters only scored a combined 50 points. Almost every starter shot the ball inefficiently today, but the Bulls still were able to pull out this game. That's a team that just refuses to go away, and that's really where the Bulls have been their best this season. Is that when they're fully healthy, they use their depth to their advantage. The Bulls went 10 deep into their bench today, and everybody had to contribute for the Bulls to be able to win this game over the 76ers. The Bulls win their 5th straight game. The 76ers then fall, in this game. And, it is what it is. I won't say that the 76ers shouldn't have lost this game to the Bulls, because in watching the game and watching how they performed against them, the Bulls were prepared, both defensively and offensively. This was an extremely cold night shooting for the Chicago Bulls. Neither team really shot the ball amazingly well. But down the stretch, Maxey goes 0-5 from the field, down the stretch of the game and in the fourth quarter overall. And that's what leads to the Bulls being able to win this game. It was the Bulls' depth that saved them. Zach Collins led them in scoring off the bench. Tre Jones was the second highest scorer, also off the bench. Jalen Smith had 12 points. He came off the bench. And Kobe White, while he didn't shoot an efficient night at all, he put in 9 points in the fourth quarter of this game, also with his only 13 points. So the Chicago Bulls did this as they've done it throughout this entirety of this year. They did it as a team. And that's going to have to be the Bulls thing. The Bulls now, a team that had lost 13 out of 16 games. It went 3-13 over a 16-game period. They started the season off with a 5-0 stretch. They're now again on a 5-0 stretch. And the Bulls are just a very inconsistent team. And until the Bulls discover a way to perform at a consistent level, this is probably going to be what you get for the Bulls for a while now. And we'll see if they can come out of that. But the Bulls get the win today. It was a needed win for the Chicago Bulls to keep stacking some momentum. And we'll see how the 76ers rebound from that. Next up, we're going to recap the rest of the games from NBA Friday night. All right, before we get into that, I got to talk to you guys about game time. During basketball season, there's nothing like being in the building. The energy, the crowd, the first big run that gets everyone on their feet. Fans want to be there for those moments, not stuck, refreshing screens, or guessing what tickets are really going to cost. That's where Game Time comes in. The Game Time app gives fans the advantage back, making it incredibly easy to score amazing tickets, fast, simple, and without the guesswork. Browsing the Game Time app is straightforward and intuitive. Finding tickets takes just a few taps. Seeing the view from your seat before you buy makes choosing tickets easy and confident. Whether it's an NBA game or another live event, everything is right there in one place. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNBA. That's LOCKEDON NBA for $20 off your first purchase. Download the Game Time app today and get in the action. On Locked On Game Night coming up next. All right, let's go ahead and finish out NBA Friday night. We got a number of games to still get into for tonight. And the first one we're going to talk about is the Hornets get the win over the Magic, 120-105. We do have the host of Locked On Magic here.
This is Philip Rossman-Wright, the host of Locked On Magic here at the Kia Center. The Orlando Magic fall to the Charlotte Hornets 120-105 in a game that was very reminiscent of the games that everyone panicked over and struggled with early in the season when the Magic went 1-4. It was a lifeless effort, a game where the Magic never really found their defense, never really bought into or gained their identity. This is a Magic team that is one of the best rebounding teams in the league, fourth in the league in defensive rebound rate. They are one of the try-hard teams in the league. Everyone hates and complains about how much effort they put into games. They outwork you on there. They're one of the best defensive teams in the league, eighth in the league in defensive rating, but still have the reputation of one of the best defensive teams in the league. And none of that was present. None of it was present. Orlando gave up dribble drives, gave up threes, gave up almost 50% three-point shooting. The Hornets were above 50% until the very end of the fourth quarter. They never really got their grips on this game defensively. Charlotte outworked them on the offensive glass, got a ton of second-chance points, and Orlando on top of that shot about 42% in the paint. Even the easy shots, nothing was easy for the Orlando Magic, and nothing is easy for the Orlando Magic right now. A disappointing effort for Orlando, a disappointing loss. Don't have a lot of time to think about it because they got Denver tomorrow night here at the Kia Center.
Disappointing loss for the Magic here, as Philip said there. And, the Magic are a team that is, they're 17-14 on the season. So it's not like they're a losing team on the season or anything. But when you give up 4 first-round picks to bring in some of the shooting that you need, and not to put this all on Desmond Bane, that's not what I'm doing here, but it just keeps being the lack of return on investment, or injuries keep being something that just keeps this team from getting to the place that a lot of people think they have a championship caliber defense. I maintain that. I really do think they have a championship caliber defense, but it's just, they just can't stay healthy enough. They can't hit enough shots consistently enough. And that's a larger problem than just in this game for the Orlando Magic. But for the case of the Hornets, they had 6 players scoring in double figures in this game. LaMelo Ball with 22, he leads the way in scoring, and we haven't gotten to see a fully healthy Charlotte Hornets team a lot this season either. So there is that part of it, but we'll see how it goes and continues to go for this team, and overall, we'll just see what happens there. With that said, the next game that we got to talk about is the Wizards. They get a 138 victory here over the Raptors. We're going to go ahead and get into this short here.
Washington Wizards get their 6th win of the season against the Toronto Raptors, blowing them out by 21 points in the district. The most complete win tonight by the Wizards offensively, the rotations, defensively. Everything was great tonight. Let's start off with Bilal Coulibaly. 21 points, 8 rebounds. This is the Bilal Coulibaly that Wizards fans have been begging, dying to see. Year 3, the contract extension coming up. Keyshawn George bouncing back after that performance against the Hornets where he only had 2 points. Tonight, 23 points. Bub Carrington, 15 points. Trae Johnson with 12. Alex Sarr with 3 blocks. You love to see it. Against a Raptors team that's 4 or 5 games above 500 and trying to make their mark in the Eastern Conference. Great win by the Wiz. Memphis on Sunday. Head of the Wizards.
Really good job here by the Wizards. The Toronto Raptors have been playing really solid all season long. They're 18-14 on the season. And while the Wizards have only won 6 games this season, this is a team that has a lot of nice young pieces on this team that, if these guys start hitting, you're going to find yourself having a very solid young core sooner rather than later. Bob Carrington gives them 15 points off the bench today. Kalabali with 21 points himself as well. Of course, you got the veterans, CJ McCollum and Chris Middleton, chipping in. Middleton had 6 points. You had McCollum with 21 points as well. Alex Sarr with 15 points. Deshaun George, 23 points. He leads the team in scoring as well. And, the Wizards are just a really good team. And I think that a lot of these young players that are on this team right now are going to be part of the team if they ever do start winning again. So they have those pieces there. It's just a question now on how long do they have to wait till they start winning consistently. And that's the part that remains to be seen. But good win here from them today. We'll see what they can continue to give. The next game that we're going to talk about is the Memphis Grizzlies. They get a 125-104 victory over the Milwaukee Bucks. And the Bucks struggles just keep going on. Without Giannis, they're going to keep struggling. And, the Milwaukee Bucks, who are urged to, quote unquote, be buyers at the trade deadline, I just don't see how. They've fallen out of the play-in race right now. They've won only 3 games out of their last 10. And this is a team that is just now struggling. And the sad part is that it could get worse. And it could get worse because Giannis actually may try, if he does actually ask for a trade, whether that's in the offseason or at this trade deadline. If that does happen, that franchise is in so much of a worse place. And that's just the question that everybody's waiting here now for the Milwaukee Bucks. It's not about if they win, when they win, or whatever. It's everybody seeing what's going to happen with Giannis. And feels like it's almost inevitable by some of the rumors and stuff that you listen to. Doesn't necessarily mean that that's going to be the case realistically, but that's the way that this feel like it's about to start going. And I guess we'll see if it does get there. And if Giannis ends up asking his way out. But the Memphis Grizzlies improved to 1 game below 500 now with this 125 victory over the Milwaukee Bucks. And, the Grizzlies are an interesting team. They have one of the better rookies with Cedric Howard, who should be talked about a lot. You had Jaren Jackson Jr. with 24 points in this game, 17 from John Morant. Every starter scored into double figures in this game. They had 2 players scoring in double figures off the bench as well with Cam Spencer and KCP. The Memphis Grizzlies are a team that I think is going to still make the play-in. I think they're gonna get this together to make the play-in, and we'll see how far they can go outside of that. But the next game that we're also going to talk about is the Suns over the Pelicans, and we have the host of Locked On Pelicans here.
Pelicans lose 115-108 to the Phoenix Suns, and they only have themselves to blame in this one. I'm Jake Madison, host of the Locked On Pelicans podcast. Pelicans played their style of game. They're playing much better this season after firing head coach Willie Green, upping James Borrego to being the interim head coach. They're aggressive. They fight hard every single game. That's why you're seeing some more wins here. This does not look like the earlier team that they were. But they looked like the old Pelicans in this one. They got to the free throw line 42 times in this game and made just 25 of those. That's under 60%. You can't have that kind of advantage and just not make your free throws. They left a ton of points at the line, and if you make even just a few more of those, you win this game. They also struggled to close the game late. Jordan Poole not great down the stretch. They still need to grow as a team. They're young. There's Derek Queen, there's Jeremiah Fears, 2 rookies getting big minutes. That will come with time, but really just missing the free throws. There's no excuse for that. That's why the Pelicans lost this game.
Yeah, missing free throws is the thing that's going to always shoot you in the foot. You got to be able to make your free throws. We'll see if they can do that going forward, man, overall. But with that said, the last game that we're going to talk about today is the Clippers. They get a 119-103 victory over the Portland Trailblazers. The Portland Trailblazers are a tough team, and they play tough all throughout the season. There are moments where they look really, really good. There's moments, of course, when they're struggling. But that happens with teams of that, the age of the Clippers, for what it is, gets the better of the inexperience of the Portland Trailblazers today. The Clippers improved to 9-21 on the season. It really does feel like a blow up of that roster is coming sooner rather than later, and they're going to have to figure that out. But the Portland Trailblazers, man, this is still I still believe in this team. Denny Advia with 29 points in this game. You have every starter but one, and that was Chris Murray, who didn't score in double figures. You get 20 points from Tamari Kamara as well. Donovan Clingan gets you 10 points, 8 rebounds, 4 assists in this game. They just don't have enough. And, the experience of the Clippers just got the better of the Portland Trailblazers in this game. But, we'll see. We'll see what happens. We'll see, if the Portland Trailblazers can continue and they're trying to gear for the playoffs. The word is that they're going to be looking to be buyers at the trade deadline as well. And we'll see how that happens. But that's it for Locked On NBA Game Night tonight. If you guys want to follow me, you can do so at CEO Haize. Locked On NBA Game Night is available on every podcasting app and platform of your choice, as well as YouTube, the Odyssey app, Amazon Fire TV, Roku TV. Basically, anywhere you want to see us, you can. We'll catch you guys on next Friday, man. Love you guys. Peace, y'all.